Okay then.
王とネテロがついに最後の戦いを始めようとしていた頃。
Ooh. Back to the palace. Oh, look at that. That's brave, man. Whoa. Quite the choice there to pivot.
宮殿の地下では催眠ガスで眠り込んだブロブーダに
I was not expecting this. A focus on this. But let's see. Let's give it a chance, right? Oh, they've got her driving. Hold on. Oh, okay, it's just, oh, that's beautiful. He's just not looking. Right? No. It's kind of like Heisenberg, right? Back in in season 1 of Breaking Bad. Yeah, now he sees it. Oh my god. He snuck in.
エルフィン、お前には聞きたいことが山ほどあるが、おかしな素振りを見せれば殺す。奴が俺に聞きたいこと。
Come on, Nicole.
決まってる。仲間の数、役割、どんな能力か、どんな手を使ってでも聞き出そうとするだろう。俺が情報を漏らしたら命が危ない奴だっている。奴が捜査系なら。
Interesting that he thinks of that. I like that. I really like that. Small detail, but I really appreciate it. Ah. Ooh. He's so on edge, isn't he? The anxiety. But he was ready to die. That's the key component of this. Right, I know that much. I mean, it happened by chance, but... Oh god. Oh, the title of the episode, right? The centipedes. Literal centipedes. But he's already resolved to give up his life. Wow, beautiful stuff. The fear factor just isn't there. Ooh. He almost appears to be pathetic. Ooh. There's no fear on this side, but there's fear on the other side. My god. Oh. Great acting. Oh, beautifully drawn. This is painful. Ooh. No, I love the depiction of that pain there. That it's legitimate pain. Instead of taking a life. For my friends, for my allies. In an instant, I'll give up my life. But to take a life, that was the major struggle. Understandably so. Okay, go for his taff. Oh, that... He is scared shitless. Look at him. You know, to face someone that's this resolved is a different experience, isn't it? Wow. And we're looking at the true nature of Welfin. Oh? His response just affected the... Ah. I like this, I like this. Yeah, I got a sense of that. People have had those run-ins with Gon as well. I love how he's in control of the room. Oh. There's only one thing you can really do at this point, man. Just talk to him. Talk. Oh god, really? Beautiful character animation though. Character acting. He doesn't buy it, does he? So it comes out. But they can be affected. So him being truthful. Ah, interesting. But how many times has he actually used it to this degree? The sure are. Whoa. Ah, from a past life. Oh. Ah, that's perfect. Well, and he'll instantly know if he's lying. Just go, man. Just go. It's okay, man. Let it out. Oh! Episode 79? Or both? 79, 80? Zyko! Oh! Oh my god, does that mean the guy on the left is, Ikalgo? He kinda has a bushy eyebrows. That's crazy. The feeling of dying? Oh, my god. Who's this? Oh god, they're junkies. Ah man, this cycle just never ends, does it? That's the thing he wanted to forget the most. How about that? Trauma. Ha! The king of the NGL. My empire of dirt, eh? This is...
だから何も隠さずに済んだ。何してんだろう。
Wow, I just got chills. Ah, beautiful.
もう一度会いてえな。
I hope you get to, man. I really do. I mean, I hope I get to see him as well, you know? He's been MIA. Look at that. And this is the true Welfin under that mask.
そうだ。ジャイロに会えりゃそれでいい。アリとか人とか
Fair enough, man.
金
I hear ya.
国とかめんどくせえや。行けよ。虫は消えたぜ。お前はまだやることあんだろ。
Therapeutic, eh? Cathartic.
戦闘能力は
Oh, good guy, man. He's a good guy. He is.
モニターでブローとお前を見て
And he's really quite guarded, and it makes even more sense now after, you know, getting a bit of a flashback on his past.
ブローを打てなかったお前を見て組みしやすいと思ったのがとんだ誤算だったぜ。
But look at how things played out, man. They played out beautifully.
もう行けよ。俺は疲れた。
Zykel. Zykel. I'm pretty sure that was the name he said. The guy on the left.
女の人を見た。
Possibly him, right?
なかどうか知らねえが護衛軍に捕まって前にされた人間が一人いたな。
その人はどこにいる？
奴らは1号って呼んでた。
Hybrid number 1, eh? Careful, Ikago. Please, careful, though.
何がおかしい？
正直に話すって楽だなって思ってよ。
Beautiful. Keeping it all in this whole time, right? He had an outlet, finally. Heart to
そ
heart.
して自分をも信じられずに生きてきたウェルフィン。そんな彼が
Generational trauma,
初め
man.
て心を開いて告げた真実こそ
From a lifetime
彼
ago.
が探し求めていた人の居場所だった。
Oh. This is some build-up. Oh, look at those arms. It's like mermaid scales. Ah, kind of similar to that statue, that ugly thing that she had. Whoa. Okay, so in the closing stages of that episode, I got the return of Palm. I mean, it's exciting. It certainly is quite exciting. And, you know, she's always good for a striking new look. And, you know, I've got yet another really interesting look for Palm. You know, like I said, you know, it appears to be kind of like a mesh of her, I don't know, her basic look or her base look. But, you know, now there's those scales on the arms, right? And then, of course, you've got the, I don't know, crystal ball that's kind of infused into the forehead, right? It's a part of her now, part of her buildup at this point. And like I said, you know, the scales, the mermaid-like scales, they're reminding me of that thing she had, right? That really ugly statue of a mermaid, essentially. And it's a part of her at this point, at least the look of it. But the fact that the crystal ball element of it is fused into her forehead at this point, I think I'll get to see some interesting things at play, perhaps, you know, soon enough. But yeah, you know, I think it's a great little tease for the next episode, isn't it? Great setup. You know, because at this point, Ikalgo is about to run into her soon enough, right? The setup is there. But, you know, speaking of tease or setup, this right here is quite the pivot, right? It's a gutsy move to go from, you know, the cliffhanger or just the episode that I got last time, episode 122, to this, right? It's risky. It's really quite risky. Now, as always, I can only speak for myself, but, you know, ultimately, I'm happy to report that I didn't mind it. You know, the pivot, right? Again, gutsy, but I think it paid off. Now, listen, I'm not saying that, for others it might not have been frustrating, because listen, as you saw in the beginning of the episode, I had some concerns. I was surprised, right? Because I was expecting a continuation of episode 122, that incredible setup by the end of that episode as well, right? So to go from that to this, yeah, it's brave, but I think it paid off. Right? Because the content of the episode itself is actually really quite engaging, right? I felt that the character writing shines once again. Great exploration of the human condition through these characters. I mean, it actually ends up being quite a therapeutic episode. There's catharsis for at least one of them, if not both of them, right? Welfin, the focus on him is just really quite interesting. I didn't mind it one bit, right? Because he's a great character to begin with, but then to get this kind of focus, this kind of insight, and, again, a backstory on him. And then, of course, name drops like Gyro. I mean, as you know, I just kind of assumed at one point that, okay, Gyro's not about to play a part anymore. I mean, it's a name drop, and it's a bit of a connection. Doesn't mean that, he's back into the arc or anything, but it's still exciting. Now, of course, this name drop, this connection with Welfin, aka Zykal, I confirmed it. I did go back. I checked it out. The one soldier who I think is Ikalgo, right? And Ikalgo kind of refers to this as well, during the episode, doesn't he? I knew someone like him once upon a time, right? So I believe that is Ikalgo, right? But the one thing that is confirmed for sure is that the one that is called Zykal is Welfin, right? Because I saw it in the flashback as they're essentially a part of the Last Stand, right? And then, of course, they get taken down. But yeah, I think there is a good chance the guy who said Zykal is Ikalgo. You look at the eyes, you look at the eyebrows. I think there's a good chance. But I think it's just so incredible that Gyro was able to be this for Welfin, right? A rock, a constant, someone who could be that source of shining light, right? For another person, especially given his own struggles. And I get to see those struggles in episode 80, right? One of the standout episodes of this arc. But, at the same time, it actually makes a lot of sense that Gyro is or was able to be there for Welfin in this capacity, because ultimately he's truly the only one who understood the things that Welfin is going through, his situation. And ultimately, he is able to provide that type of support. It's the type of support that Gyro himself needed, right? So the next best thing he could do is actually provide that support, because he knows exactly the type of support someone like Welfin needed at that time, right? Because he's been there. He understands, right? They truly understood each other. And Welfin, like I said, is a great character, a great addition. But now, now it's, if it wasn't a great addition before, by the end of this episode, it's just like, it's a beautiful character, actually. And by the end of this episode, you really kind of get to understand why exactly Welfin is so suspicious of everyone and himself, right? He's unable to trust himself or others. And, essentially, it's because of his past trauma, right? From a past life. And as much as he hoped that that's the one thing he forgets. And listen, how insane is that? That, the first thing he thought of, after being reborn, essentially, is that, he had a chance to just forget that, right? That life kind of gave him a chance, perhaps, to forget that. And the things, or the one thing that he wanted to forget most is that, right? That memory of his father choking him. And, at first it kind of looked like zombies, right? Ghouls. But I'll just go ahead and assume that they're just junkies, right? Just out of their minds. At least his father was, perhaps, at the time of choking him. But yeah, how incredibly sad is it that that's the one thing he was hoping he doesn't remember. Yet it does follow him into a different life. And I thought it was a great focus in this episode, trauma and its lingering effects, right? Even with Nen, The thing, I think I mentioned it during the episode. The thing I really appreciate here is that these characters, these Chimera ants, actually think about Nen and, the type of Nen user someone might be. Because at one point, Ikalgo is concerned that, okay, if he's a manipulator, he'll be able to perhaps get something out of me, right? He'll be better suited to get more information out of me. So I love that, it's not just like a one-time thing. Oh, okay, all the Chimera ants, or a bunch of them, can unlock their Nen and use it, right? And now, they use it in fights. No. Togashi makes sure that it actually plays a part, in their thinking. So I really appreciate that, even if it's an encounter between two Chimera ants, right? Ikalgo and Welfin, in this case, Nen actually plays a part. And then, it also does kind of shed a bit of a spotlight on the NGL guards, right? Gyro's army. Just like Welfin, there might have been others, with difficult, abusive upbringing, right? You see just in the last episode, King Meruem hammers that point home, right? Inequality and poverty and everything that stems from that, right? People become jaded, frustrated. And I think that can also apply to someone like Gyro's father, right? That's a broken individual. And ultimately, it's because he's a product of his environment. He just is, right? That's the hand he was dealt. And you see that subsequently he kind of lashes out, or he kind of passes it on to Gyro. All that abuse takes it out on him. Now, listen, I'm not saying that the entire army, Gyro's army, the NGL army or the NGL guards, is made up of these types of people, people that are really similar to Welfin. But I do think there's, perhaps a small percentage, right? Because, they've made it really quite clear that there's some bad people there, just, bad for the sake of being bad, right? It's in their nature. I saw, earlier on in the NGL, as some of the ants actually ended up consuming some of these NGL guards, and their attitude is just despicable, isn't it? You think of that Chimera ant who had the 2 guns, right? The one that took out Ponzu. And then, of course, he ended up dying a little bit later on, right? But yeah, it's something to think about. But yeah, I thought it's a really beautiful depiction of everlasting bonds, right? You see the fondness in his eyes. It's a close-up of Welfin's eyes, or just the one eye, but my God, right? Just those eyes, they look so different. Just thinking about his brother, essentially, right? Gyro. And that, he hopes to see him just one more time. Listen, like I said, I hope that happens for him. Who knows if something like that is even possible in the remaining episodes. I think it's probably exceedingly unlikely. But, beyond that, in the manga, if indeed, Welfin does survive all of this, I mean, realistically speaking, he should be able to survive this at this point, right? No one's actively coming after him. And you see that he does his part. He's a good guy. He let the other 3 out of there. He tells Ikalgo as much, right? They can't put up a fight. They can't do much. So he kind of helped them get out of there, right? FILMBuFF included. You'll have to excuse me. I cannot remember the names at the moment. Actually, I think she called her Shidori. Shidora or Shidori. And again, that's the unknown Chimera ant that just kind of showed up recently as well, right? And again, my speculation on that was that, okay, there's still one that I haven't seen yet, right? I mean, there's Gyro, of course, but other than that, Colt's sister. So I still believe that could be her. It could be her. But let's shift the focus to Ikalgo, the other half of this 2-hander. Most impressive, right? He bounces back. Like I said, he took control of that room. And Welfin is he's terrified of him at one point, right? Because as he said himself, I didn't think it'd be this intimidating or this scary, something along those lines, facing someone that is so resolved, someone that is ready to die for the cause. And Ikalgo was most definitely ready to die for the cause, right? It came to him so naturally the moment it became clear that, okay, if any of this information leaks, his allies, his friends, right, his new friends that mean so much to him, right, they could be at risk. Great risk. The responsibility, the resolve to put your life on the line. You see that every single person on the extermination squad has been ready for it, And I thought it's an incredible display from Ikalgo, right? Because he puts it into practice. Because at one point he just straight on holds his gun to his chest and he's ready to die. But of course, he didn't end up dying because something interesting happened with the rules of Welfin's ability. But the fact of the matter is, Ikalgo doesn't know that, right? It happens by chance. It happens to just kind of fall into place. But he's more than ready to die in that moment, right? Just to protect his allies, his friends, right? And, you know, at one point he's just, I don't know, almost jovial that this is so much easier, you know, once I'm doing it for my allies, for my friends. And, you know, the thing is, I actually saw this back in the cave against Killua as well, right? He was essentially ready to die instead of giving up anything on his allies, even back then. And, you know, that's one of the reasons Killua kind of took to him. But yeah, going all the way back to my initial point now, to kind of end it off, yeah, you know, ultimately I didn't mind it. But again, you know, I can completely understand if others, or many, actually felt quite frustrated, right? Again, given the incredible setup and just the incredible episode. That was just the last episode, right? So, you know, I can only speak for myself. I didn't mind it because I ended up really enjoying the focus of this episode. And then, of course, you know, the setup in this episode. Imagine if it actually just pivots back to the King Meruem and Netero fight. That'd be funny. That'd be really funny. But I'm not sure if that's about to happen here. But yeah, it's all set up nicely now for Palm to re-enter in the final phase of this arc, right? And make quite an impact, hopefully. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access or timer-based full length, consider checking out the Patreon page. The links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.